And a welcome back to Uncle Mike, Baruch Hashem, who's back from Florida, and a very special thank you to Saeed. Baruch Hashem, who always coordinates all of these special activities, special breakfast in honor of Chodesh Adar. Thank you to our sponsors, to Karen Andrews, Stan Scheinberg, Stuart Scheinberg, and Howard Scheinberg, for dedicating the breakfast and the daf merit and the merit of their wife and mother, Marsha Bas David and Chana Zichron Livracha. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah and Neshama will have an aliyah. To thank Ellen and Sumairowitz for dedicating their breakfast and the daf. To thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Beautiful. Shkoyach. To thank Sina and Saeed Aiken for dedicating the breakfast and the daf for the Tzchus Refuah Shlima for Avram Rakoyim Ben Zinat. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, all of the brachas, that he, together with Kol Chol Yisrael, have a complete and enduring refuah. And a thank you to Baruch Fischel and Sonia Kozlowski for dedicating the breakfast and the daf in honor of David's postdoc.
And God willing, this free time, coming
Beautiful. Postdoc of David and the upcoming chassan of his daughter Pnina. Mazel tov, mazel tov. Shkoyach. So let's begin. So first of all, thank you to Yehuda for giving the daf yesterday. We are picking up Lamed Dalid Amud Aleph Rabbi Akiva Ikla Leginzok. It's right across from Tosos Misanin. It's 2, 4, 6, 8 lines down from the top. Rabbi Akiva Ikla Leginzok. So Gemara tells us that Rabbi Akiva once went to the town of Ginzok. What happens when he got there? So you can imagine, first of all, Rabbi Akiva shows up in any town. By definition, he is a celebrity, he's a personality, so he gets flooded with questions. They asked him the following 3 shilas. Number 1, Mis'anan l'shos or ein Mis'anan l'shos? So can you go, literally translated, can you fast for hours? Now what does this mean? So if you look at Rashi, Rashi says l'shos kigon shekibel alav tainis mishesh sha'os ulemalo umiu lotam klum etchila kalayom avalo l'shem tainis niskavim bereshona. So also there's a fascinating shaila. So listen to this. So the Gemara says, so Rashi says as follows. You have the following situation. Let's say again, it turns out a person realizes it's 12 o'clock already. 12 o'clock, and they realize they haven't eaten anything. Oh, and first of all, say, a welcome back to Milt Gertner. Baruch Hashem, what a successful procedure. Continue to for Shalema. Wonderful to have you back. And a mazel tov to Ari and Shoshana Lerner on the Hanochas Tefillin of their son Zechariah this morning in Eretz Hashem. Will there be another Kiddush after 9 o'clock minyan? There'll be some light refreshments after the 9 o'clock minyan. You can have light refreshments. You better run out. Super light refreshments. Okay. In other words, eat here. Eat now. Mazel tov. Mazel tov. You should be zochem Eretz Hashem to many beautiful years of nachas from your son and your entire mishpacha. So the shaila is as follows. The person went ahead and they just, because of the whatever it was, didn't eat anything throughout the entire day. So let's say, again, for argument's sake, let's just keep it easy. It's a sunrise day at 6, sunset day at 6, and they realize at chatzos, they realize at midday that they haven't eaten anything. So a person says, you know what, the chaparayin, I'll just declare the rest of the day at tainus. I'll be makabel upon myself that today should count as a fast day. Why would a person do this? Could be for a variety of reasons. Let's say I realize, you know what, last night I had a bad dream, and I had in mind to be makabel at tainus chalam, but I didn't end up doing it. So now already I fasted half of the day. I might as well just accept the remaining part of the day as a fast day as well, and fulfill my obligation for a tainus. But say that's called mis'anim l'shos. The primary sugya for this is Maseches Tainus. The Gemara talks about this idea of when a person goes out and decides in the middle of a day to be makabel a tainus, to be makabel a fast day for the rest of the day. Now, what's the interesting part in this? Under normal circumstances, I will say, how does Kabbalah's tainus work? If you're makabel a tainus, what usually happens? One of 2 things: either A, this is what happens when there's breakfast, right? Either a person is makabelit the day before. Usually, again, the paradigmatic example is a person is being makabelit at mincha the day before, even though the tainus might not start until the next morning. They're makabelit until on the mincha before, or that morning. In this case over here, the day is already halfway done. It happens to be I didn't eat. But the reason I didn't eat had nothing to do with the tainus. The reason I didn't eat was because, whatever it was, I was just preoccupied with life. So now I realize, you know what, there's only 6 more hours I could go ahead and have a tainus. Can I be makabel? The remainder of the day is really 2 shilas of your Abosai. The 2 shilas are as follows. Number 1, can you be makabel a tainus midday? Can you be makabel a tainus midday? But the real interesting question is, can you go ahead and be makabel a tainus midday, which then retroactively recategorizes the first 6 hours of the day where I didn't eat because I was preoccupied with whatever, could I go ahead and reclassify those 6 hours as a tainus? As a tainus, that's misanim l'shos. So you can look at that. Rashi, I love tainus m'shei shos l'mala. Person accepted upon himself the remainder of the day as a fast day, so from 6 hours and on. I didn't eat anything that entire day. Avalo l'shem tainus niskavim barishona. But I will say ultimately again, I didn't have in mind that those first 6 hours of the day should be the shem tainus. So can I go ahead and accept the remainder of the day as a tainus and retroactively reclassify those first 6 hours of the day as a tainus? That was question number one. Lo hava biyadei. He didn't know. Rabbi Kiva didn't know. Lo hava biyadei. He said he didn't have the answer. Next question they asked him. Kan kanam she'ovdei kochavim asurim o mutarim? We'll say the next shayla. This is why this is being brought up over here. They asked him the following shayla. What about if I get earthenware utensils, earthenware vessels, earthenware jugs from an akum, and the earthenware jugs were used for yayin? So can I go ahead and use those earthenware jugs afterwards for my wine? So they asked him, Asurim Mutarim, again, lo hava biyadei. He didn't know. Bamesh, next, we'll say third question. Bamesh shimish Moshe kol shivas yimei hamiluim. So we'll say, remember again, the interesting part that we learn is that by the Hakamas HaMishkan, when the Mishkan was erected, so for the first 7 days, up until we get to the Bayom Hashmini, so what happens? Moshe Rabbeinu effectively served as the Kohen Gadol. He effectively served as the Kohen Gadol. So the Shiloh asked Rabbi Akiva is, what did he wear? What did he wear? Now I will say this isn't like a fashion question. This is, they wanted to understand, Big Day Kahuna were given to Aaron HaKohen. But yet, obviously, if you're serving in the Mishkan, in the capacity of a Kohen Gadol, you can't just wear stam clothing. You can't wear, civilian clothing. You have to be wearing something special. So on one hand, we know he's not wearing Big Day Kahuna, but we also know that he's not wearing his regular clothing. So what is he wearing? So the Gemara says, Lo hava biyadei. Rabbi Akiva didn't know. Rabbi Akiva didn't know. So we'll say just an incredible musr. There's musr in all of these Gemaras. So this idea is, musr number one is, it's okay not to know. Even the great, even the Hilig Rabbi Akiva did not have all of the answers. No one has all the answers in life. Rabbi say, we saw in Gemara Masech Shabbos that the Gemara says, Lamad l'shon chaloma ini odea, that a person has to teach his tongue to say, I don't know. It's not natural for a person to say, I don't know. No one likes to admit that they don't know something because we feel that represents a weakness. The good news is, the next time I don't know something, just look at the Gemara. If Rabbi Akiva didn't know something, it's okay for us also not to know. So you don't have to have all the answers. So what happens? Also, Shalbei Midrasha. So Rabbi Akiva obviously wanted to find out the answers to these questions himself. Comes to the Beis Medrash, asks the Shaila. Amri. So we'll say in the Beis Medrash, this is Tov Mashnai Min Ha'achos. Sometimes things that I can't figure out on my own. When you surround yourself with good people, you go to the Beis Medrash, you get the answers. Also, Shalbei Midrasha. Amri. Hilchasa Mis'anim L'shos. So I will say, so first of all, the halacha is misan l'shos, and this is indeed halacha l'maisa. So if you decide, person didn't eat the first 6 hours, and by the way, 6 hours is just an example. It doesn't matter how many hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, it doesn't make a difference. The point is, at a certain point in the day, I realize I have not eaten, I now want to go to be makabel tainus for the rest of the day. Rabbi say the halacha is, it works. The halacha is, it works. Misan l'shos, which Rabbi tells me I could accept the tainus going forward, and what? What's the real kunz of this? Retroactive recategorization of the hours that I did not eat into hours of tainus. Rabbi Yitzchak Berditcher brings down, Rebbe says so beautiful in Kedushas Levi, he brings down that, quotes this halacha, Rabbi Yitzchak was not born into a Hasidish family. He found the path independent of his mishpacha, much to the chagrin of his mishpacha. So he's an incredible Talmid Chacham before he became a Rebbe. So he quotes this halacha, he says, Mikan raya gimura l'tshuva. He says this idea is one of the most incredible and poignant rayas, proofs to the concept of tshuva. Because I will say, what does misan the shows mean? See, we think of tshuva ultimately, tshuva, repentance, that I could change mikanu lahaba. But often about tshuva is frustrated. What about all the bad things I did in my past? Right? What about all of the baggage that I have in my past? So the Rebbe says, you see from here that what? Misan and l'shos teaches me that halacha l'maisa, I could retroactively recategorize my past. I could take those 6 hours that I did not eat. Now, I didn't eat only because I was busy, because I was involved in other things. But yet you see what? That with a Kabbalah, with a brand new acceptance upon yourself, from your present to your future, you could actually change your past. When I'm a Kabbalah Tainis midday and I reclassify the hours ahead, I can also reclassify my past. That's the power of tshuva. The power of tshuva say, is not only do I have the ability to change myself, mikano la'aba, but the power of tshuva is I actually have the ability to reforge, to remake, and to reclassify my past activities as well. That's the Gemara, right? The Gemara says that a person does tshuva. The Gemara says tshuva me'ava. It's zidonos naas eslo kizechuyos. You have the ability to go ahead and take your averos and literally reclassify them as mitzvos. How could that happen? How could that happen? At most, I could transform them into shkagos. How could I transform them into mitzvos? That's the power of tshuva. And again, where do we learn the power of tshuva? Misan and l'shos. If I could reclassify the 6 hours that I didn't eat into hours of tainis, I could reclassify even my averos into schuyos. Okay, that's number one. Bim hishlim ispalel tfilas tainis. And I will say not only that, but if a person decides to go ahead and rework the rest of the day to be a tainis, a person hishlim ispalel tfilas tainis also means I can see anenu. I could say anenu in mincha. Okay, next. V'ilchasa kan kanim she'ovdei kochav ma'achar yud beis chodesh mutarin. We already saw this in yesterday's daf, that the halacha is that the kankanim, the earthenware vessels of ovdei kochavim, are permitted after 12 months. So if you look at Rashi for just a moment, Rashi says, la'achar 12 chodesh mutarin miyad beli tikun. So we'll say this idea is that after 12 months, so the kankanim are immediately permitted. Now, why is that? We'll say what happens after 12 months. So we'll see this more when we get to these sugyas. I mean, we'll see some of these sugyas in Avoda Zara, but the primary sugyas we'll see in Chulin. The idea is, remember, what's the issue with the earthenware vessels? The issue is the blios, the absorptions of yayin nesech. There is a concept that ultimately blios become what's called nosin tam lifgam. That ultimately, again, they no longer give off a what's the right word? A meaningful flavor after 12 months. After 12 months, any blios, anything that's absorbed, no setam lefkam means essentially they don't give off any kind of real flavor. So therefore, if you have the kankanim, you keep them for 12 months. We'll say, by the way, this concept is halacha l'maisa for us as well, because let's say, for example, there are certain, we normally assume you can't kasher kli cheres, that you can't kasher earthenware. I'm just talking about, let's say a person has an earthenware vessel, an earthenware utensil or dish that somehow they trafed up. So we normally assume you can't kasher it. Depending on what the particular utensil is, there are certain kulas that apply after 12 months. This comes up often when people, let's say, inherit large sets of china that they got maybe from relatives who are not as nisra with halachas of kashrus, and sometimes there's sentimental values, or they have monetary loss. There are certain kulas in halacha after 12 months, because the assumption is after 12 months it's no sin tam lifgam. That ultimately, again, don't paskin halacha based on that 20-second soundbite that I just told you, right? You ask a shaila about it because it's a little bit more complicated. But the point over here is that even the earthenware vessels of the akum after 12 months are no seitan of kam. However, Rashi includes a very important caveat. Rashi says, "V'imrata lishtamish kodem lachain memalin mayin." We'll say, remember again, there's the concept in halacha. We saw this in yesterday's daf that we call milui v'irui. I will say milui v'iroi, that's the contemporary term for it, means you soak something for 72 hours, changing the water every 24 hours. So when the Gemara says over here that you could use the kalim of an akum after 12 months, that means you can use it after 12 months with belishum tiku. You don't have to do anything else. If you want to use it earlier, there is a way to use it earlier, and that's called the milui v'iroi, soaking 72 hours, changing water every 24 hours. We'll say again, just very quickly, where does this principle become halacha l'maisa for us? The minhag is, Ashkenazim do not kasher glass for Pesach. That's the general halacha. We don't kasher glass for Pesach. Sfardim have greater kulas for kashering glass for Pesach. Ashkenazim, b'derech klal, do not kasher glass. However, if you do need to kasher glass, so how do you kasher glass? Specifically glass that was used for cold items, we employ this concept of milui v'irui, of ultimately soaking for 72 hours, changing water every 24 hours, and that can kasher glass even for Pesach. Okay, so weiter. B'mashimish Moshe, we'll say, what did Moshe Rabbeinu, what did he wear when he served as the Kohen Gadol for the first 7 days of Hakamas HaMishkan? B'mashimish Moshe Shiva Simei HaMiluim, what did he wear? B'chaluk lavan, a regular white garment, a plain white garment. So the Gemara says, Rav Kahana masni b'chaluk lavan she'in bo imra. Rav Kahana said that it was actually a white garment with what? Below imra also means without a hem. What's the pshat? Look at Rashi. Rashi says over here, first of all, Rashi says, Moshe, lo nishtamish b'gdei kahuna d'chsiv, v'asisa b'gdei kodesh la'aron achicha, v'hu hayazar etzlan, v'api adibor shimesh, So we'll say Rashi points out to something amazing. It's clear that Moshe Rabbeinu did not wear big day kahuna. How do we know that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't wear big day kahuna? How do we know that? Because Torah explicitly says that who wears big day kahuna? Kohanim, Aaron. So he clearly didn't wear big day kahuna. But again, as we said, we know that he served in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Mishkan for the first 7 days. So what did he wear? So now the Gemara says he wore a white garment below Imra. Rashi says Imra, Safa, without a hem. Why no hem? We'll say this is amazing. Yesh Omer, Shelo Yechashduhu Shesam Ba Mitrumas HaMishkan. We'll say, can you imagine this? Why? We'll say, because if you have a hem, what could you do? You could put money in the hem. So what do we have to be concerned about? So Moshe Rabbeinu didn't wear a hem, so no one should accuse him that what? That when he went in to serve in the Mishkan, he dipped into the Mishkan treasury a little bit and is smuggling out some coins, some gold, some silver. So we'll say, so first of all, just an incredible idea that even Moshe Rabbeinu will say has to live by v'yisem nikiyim. Everyone will say has to be above suspicion. Even would anyone ever suspect Moshe Rabbeinu of taking money from the Mishkan? The answer is yes, absolutely yes. I will say, remember again, the Medrash brings down that they accused Moshe Rabbeinu of two things. Because Moshe Rabbeinu was wealthy. No, where do you make your money from? Right? You're working for the Klal. Where are you making your money from? Right? Where are you making? So they accused Moshe Rabbeinu of skimming a little bit off the top. But we'll say that's why there is such a specific accounting of the Trumas HaMishkan, literally down to the last shekel of silver. The Rebbe Shalom wants to show this is a financially transparent process. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to be transparent. Because again, there were murmurings of Moshe Rabbeinu skimming off the top. What else did they go ahead and accuse Moshe Rabbeinu of? Of adultery. Remember again why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu moves his tent outside. It's impossible. He's not living with his wife. He must be living with someone else's wife. Right? So I'll say an incredible. I've mentioned this before. You know, everybody loved Moshe Rabbeinu when he died, right? When he was dead, everybody loved Moshe Rabbeinu. When he was alive, they made his life a living. I once heard, I think I mentioned this before, you know, it's an incredible thing. When you go to a levaya, so what happens when they take out the mace? Everyone stands up. Everyone stands up. Isn't it an amazing thing? This same person, when he was alive, people might have treated him like garbage, but now that he's dead, everyone stands up. What's the pshat? Because when a person dies and you put them in an aron, so it's Judaica. Everybody respects Judaica. Nobody's going to disrespect Judaica. We disrespect Jews, we just don't say disrespect Judaica. When Moshe Rabbeinu was alive, and it's heartbreaking, they accused him of the worst and most, you read these midrashim, the midrashim discuss the accusations made against Moshe Rabbeinu, never to his face, but always the murmuring behind his back. And it's tragic to see this is Moshe Rabbeinu. Lo kam b'Yisrael ki Moshe Rabbeinu, again, who gave everything for Klal Yisrael. Yet again, there are always those who want to find fault. So therefore, says Rashi, he served with a white garment with no hem. Why no hem? No one should accuse him of smuggling anything out. Now, watch this. Now Rashi says, V'lav milsa. Rashi says, but this doesn't make sense, and I'll tell you why. V'lav milsa. Sh'kvar nigmara hamalacha ubishas avoda mehechan shakel. Rashi says, doesn't make sense. I'll tell you why. There's no money lying around anymore. Why? The collection is done. The Mishkan's been built, which means there's no silver, there's no gold. And by the way, remember, in the Mishkan itself, there's no what? There's no storehouse. There's no treasure house. Because the truth is, remember, again, one of the miracles of the Mishkan Rabosai was what? There was no excess gold or silver. There was nothing left over. So says Rashi, it doesn't make sense why Moshe Rabbeinu has to have a hem. So Rashi quotes it because this is what Chazal bring down also, that it doesn't have a hem, so that no one should have any kind of tinus that Moshe Rabbeinu was smuggling out money. But then Rashi says there's no money to smuggle. So if you take a quick look at Tosas, Tosas says over She'ein Bo Imra, you see that Tosas? The third to last Tosas on the page. Look a line in, right after the little yutes, after the half parentheses there. Uluficha. Lo haya ba'imra, lefi shebazeh hayonikar yoser chadash, deba'inon shelo nishtamish bo hedyot, ulefichach asum mishun mishar chalukim. So also listen to this. Tosas gives two interesting answers. Tosas says, I'll tell you why there's no hem. There's no hem because, remember, there's this interesting tension. Moshe Rabbeinu can't serve in Big Day Kahuna because he's not a Kohen, but he also can't serve in his regular clothing. So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu instructs him to make a new article of clothing. How do you make it look new? So apparently one of the ways in which they made it look new, and Mishuna Mishar Chalukim, a different kind of garment, was no hem. Apparently, again, the way they used to make garments was you would have a hem on the bottom. To show that this was a different kind of garment, there was no hem. Well, the other possibility also springs down is that without a hem, it dafka looks like what? A temporary garment. That people shouldn't say that the reason Aaron took over was because there was some type of psul, there was some type of disqualifying factor in Moshe Rabbeinu. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu instructs him to dafka use a temporary garment to show that his time serving in the Mishkan was dafka only ba'arai. It was only temporary to begin with. So we'll say, so three different interpretations. He says, V'yesh mishpar, we'll say one more Tosa says, Kimo imra, lefisha big day kahuna hayu kilayim, kamar, shezelo hayu kilayim. So somehow I will say, interestingly enough, one of the interesting aspects of big day kahuna is that you're permitted, not permitted, but the halacha was, it had to be made out of shatnez. So I guess Tosa says over here that the begadim of Moshe Rabbeinu, this chaluk, there was no license for wearing shatnez in it. So somehow again the absence of the imra also made it clear that this was not made out of shatnez. So four different interpretations as to why Moshe Rabbeinu ultimately has the hem, but it seems to be the one that's rejected, or the one that's mentioned most often, is this Moshe Rabbeinu should be above suspicion. Do you know where this comes from, by the way? This concept that the lack of the hem is so that he should rise above suspicion. Remember this. You remember our Shkalim days? Shkalim, right? Do you remember our Shkalim days? Remember again, so the Kohen who worked inside, remember again, they had the receptacle where you were able to put in money, not take out money. The Kohen who had to deal with the Chasi Shekel was also not permitted to wear a garment with a hem or with pockets. Same idea about say anyone who has access to temple money. Anyone who has access to temple money cannot wear a garment that gives the possibility for smuggling out funds. It's not because we're choshit someone. It's just because a person should always live beyond suspicion. All right, back to the Gemara. So let's remember again, we saw that the Mishnah recorded in Machlokes regarding the Chatzanim and Zogim. Also, Chatzanim and Zogim are the seeds and the leftover grape skins that were used to go ahead and make wine for the akum. So it says the Gemara, first wide line, Lamadal, Lamadalef, Hachatzanim Vazogim Sha'odigil Chavim, Lachim Asurim, Yivei Shemutarim. So the Brisa over here quotes the idea that the Chatzanim and the Zogim, the grape skins, the seeds of the grapes used to make wine for the akum. So lochin asrin. Both say lochin means the moist ones are aser. Yeveshim mutarim. The ones that are dry are still mutter. So both say the idea being the ones that have moisture seem to take on this actual status of yayin nesach, but the ones that are dried out, both say essentially have the status of eitz, have the status of wood, and therefore they're totally permitted for use. So the Gemara says, "Hey ninhu lachin ve'hei ninhu yiveshim." We'll say, what's the status of a moist nose? How do we define this? So it says the Gemara, Rabbi Shmuel lachin kol yud beis chodesh. So we'll say the item is the grape skins and the seeds are considered to be moist for the first 12 months after the wine is squeezed out of them. Yiveshim la'achar yud beis chodesh is considered to be dried out after 12 months. So we'll say it's a function of the passage of time. Itmar, so we'll say, so therefore again, first 12 months you can't get any benefit from it. After 12 months it's considered to be dried out. Once it's dried out it's like wood. And therefore again you can get benefits from it. Amr Itmar, Amr Rabba Bar Bachana, Amr Rabbi Yochanan, Kishen Asurin, Asurin Afilu Ba'no. We'll say Rabbi Bachana comes along and sends the name of Rabbi Yochanan. When we say that during the first 12 months, when these items are treated like lochin, they're treated moist, and therefore they're treated like yayin nesach, I will say not only is it prohibited for consumption, but it's prohibited for benefit as well. Kishen mutarin, but after 12 months, once it's mutar afilu ba'achila. So we'll say, so during the 12 months, you can't eat it and you can't get hana. After 12 months, you can eat it, you can get hana. Amar Reb Zvid, hi, so we'll say now the Gemara makes a series of statements. Hi Dordaya de Chamro Da'armoi. So we'll say, so this Dordaya Rashi says Shmarim, these dregs, right? The leftover of the grapes, after you squeeze the grapes, the dregs. So these dregs of the Chamra Armoi, of this wine of the Arameans, Basar Tresa Yarchi Shasa Shari. After 12 months, you are permitted to go ahead and get benefit from it. So it just seems to be echoing what we just said before. Amar of Chaviva Brei Rava Hani Gulfi. We'll say these jugs. Gulfi, we'll say, seems to be earthenware vessels. Same thing that we learned before. Basar Tresa Yarche Shasa Shari. After 12 months, you're permitted to get benefit from it. And I will say again, that goes back to what we said before. After 12 months, you can get benefit from them. How? Without doing anything. The simple passage of 12 months makes this no sing tam lifgam. Any blios are considered to now be blunted, considered to be dormant, do not give off any kind of real substantive flavor. Therefore, you can use it without any kind of kashering. If you want to use it before 12 months, then what? You need the Milo Viri, you need the 72-hour soaking, which changes the water every 24 hours. Amar Rav Chaviva. Rav Chaviva says the following. Hani, turn the page, I'll say Amud Beis. Hani, after ditai. We'll say, take a look at Rashi. After chamas me'or of the koren also butin. So we'll say, these after the tai seem to be, Rashi says, tai is holchei drachim nosen osam ala yayin me'rachok vavi kemachniso l'kiyum. Umishum hachi boy shehia yud beis chodesh. So we'll say, these are like large leather canteens or large leather jugs that were often used. We'll say, tai normally means Arabs. In this case over here, Rashi says refers to holchei drachim. People who travel for long periods of time, they would keep the wine in these leather jugs for long periods of time. Therefore, the leather absorbs the flavor, and therefore, in order for a Jew to be able to use it, you need the passage of 12 months' time. Amar Ravacha bid Ravika. So Ravacha said the name of Ravika the following: Hani portzani da aramoi. These portzani, Rashi says, is psoles shel anavim. Also, the leftover grapes, basar tresa yarchi shasi shari. So these leftover grapes, ultimately after 12 months, become permitted. Amar Rav Acha Brei Rava Hani Gulfei Shechini V'Uchami. So Gulfi, again, we keep saying this, is the earthenware jugs. The difference with these earthenware jugs, Rabbi say Shechini V'Uchami means that they're red and they're black. Now, why are they red or black, Rabbi say? They're red and black is a function of what? Of the absorption. Now, the chap over here is these jugs are discolored by the wine that got absorbed in them. So I'm going to say the following. We've already seen before that if you want to use the earthenware utensils of an akum after he stored wine in it, what do you have to do? You wait 12 months. Or milivre, but we'll wait 12 months. The havamin over here is, I might have thought that if the earthenware vessel got discolored from the wine, so we'll say if it's discolored from the wine, that means maybe there's such an intense blia that maybe again 12 months doesn't work. Not true. Basar tresa yarchi shasi shari. Even those utensils, we'll say, that are so discolored by the blia, after 12 months they are permitted. So we'll say now we move on to the sugya of murias. Remember again, what's murias? Everyone's favorite Talmudic dish. So remember again, murias, Rashi pointed out in the Gemara, was shemen shel dogim. Now remember again, it was this dish, I will say, that was made with like the kishkas of the fish. But again, as we're going to see, the kishkas really weren't put in. They were just soaked in this concoction in order to go ahead and give a little bit of flavor. It was made with flour, water, and we'll see the issue seems to be sometimes wine. That seems to be the issue with the murias. That's why the Gemara says over here, or the Mishnah says over here, that when it comes to the murias, murias ugavinas beisunaiki asurin visurin isran Rabbi Meir. So both say, Machlokes Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim, is murias just an isra achila, or is it, everybody agrees it's an isra achila, murias of an akum, but is it also an isra hana? That's Machlokes Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim. So we'll say now we come to murias. So Tan Rabbanon. So murias, Tan Rabbanon. Murias uman mutter. I both say the murias of an uman is mutter. So we'll say, what's the murias of an uman? Take a look at Rashi. Third line down from the top in Rashi. Murias uman shall ovid kochavim uman mutter. So we'll say, remember again, this is by an ovid kochavim who's an uman, who knows how to make. He's an expert murias maker. So we'll say, what's the chap over here? Why is his murias permitted? So Rashi says, lo avdi midagim tmeim. Sibo says we're going to see there are two issues with murias. Number one, did the akum use non-kosher fish? So the Gemara says no. You don't have to be worried about that with an ovid kochavim uman. Mishum chamra ka'asvin alei. V'uman lo rami bei chamra kid mefarish va'azil aidi dinafish shumane parmishon ushin mekalkulu chamra. So we'll say the Gemara seems to be saying over here is as follows: that if you have an expert murias maker, you could eat his murias. We'll say why. The two things you have to be concerned with murias, I will say, are as follows. Number one, the mixing of non-kosher fish. Number two, the mixing in of wine of an akum. Tomorrow says we're going to see an uman doesn't do either of these things. Number one, because non-kosher fish will ruin the flavor of the murias, and wine ruins the flavor of the murias as well. So someone who has an uman, Rabbi say uman means this is what he does for a living. He takes pride in his murias. It's good to take pride in your murias. He takes pride in his murias. He's not going to mess it up ultimately by going ahead and mixing in either non-kosher fish or mixing in wine. That he's not going to do. So Rabbi Huda ben Gamliel, Mishum Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, af chilik uman mutter. Well, say so too. Not only is the murias of an uman mutter, but the chilik of an uman is mutter as well. We'll say what's the chilik of an uman? Look at Rashi. Chilik min dagim tahorim v'sultanis shman. So we'll say chilik is a dish that is made ultimately again from kosher fish. The name of the kosher species is sultanis. So we'll say this is amazing. The sultanis fish, this is really amazing. The sultanis fish doesn't have fins and scales when it's young, but it grows fins and scales when it gets older. So we'll say, we're going to see this sugya later on, but the Gemara says as follows. So the way this fish was sold, it's small, so it was sold in bulk. Rashi says, so we'll say the issue over here is normally you can't buy sultanis fish from an akum. Why not? Because I will say when they're young, they don't have fins and scales, and it's easy for an akum to mix in other types of fish, which are, I will say now, in general, in halacha, there's a fascinating discussion in halacha about fish that don't have, we actually spoke about this. When I was in South Africa, they told me they have this fish called the kingfish. The kingfish, when it's in the water, has fins and scales. When they take it out of the water, it loses its fins and scales. Whatever it is. So there's a shaila in halacha about this fish. Is it so again, so the beis din are paskin that it's kosher. So the way we normally operate in halacha is as long as the fish is going to have fins and scales at some point in time. Even if it loses it or it doesn't develop it until a more mature age, so ultimately it's kosher. The issue over here is that when you buy these sultanis fish from an akum, because they don't have fins and scales, it's easy for an akum to mix in other food items, or I should say other fish, that also don't have fins and scales and pass it off as sultanis. So Rashi says over here, "V'hai chilik uman kevan de uman hu ubaki bedavar mevatlin hemena mishum delo chashiv taima makalkulele sultanis marle v'kulei arvis." So listen to this. You could buy chilik from an uman akum. Why, Rabbi Osai? Because again, an uman knows that if you try to mix in other fish with the sultanis, what's going to happen? You're going to compromise the flavor of the sultanis. See, a non-uman is going to try to pass off non-kosher fish. An uman, as I will say, in general in halacha, we operate with the principle of uman lo mare umnase. An uman has a reputation to preserve. An uman is going to be uman prides himself on the quality of his work. As such, he's not going to cut corners by trying to go ahead and get in some non-kosher fish, because again, the flavor will be compromised. So therefore, back to the Gemara. So Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel Omer, af chiluk uman mutar. Tanya avim b'rei Rabbi Avo, murias uman mutar. So let's go back and discuss the murias. So you could go ahead and purchase the murias of an uman, of an akum uman. I will say why. Ha tanila. So it says hu tanila. That's only true, I will say, in the first and second batches of murias. However, shlishi aser, by the time you get to the third batch of murias, I will say, you can't purchase it even from an akum who is an uman. We'll say, my time, what's the reason? We'll say, because listen to this. How would you make murias? We'll say, this is good. It's a long day today. You might want to try this. We'll say, how do you make murias? So remember again, you take the fish kishkas and you soak it in this mixture of flour and water. So the schmaltz from the kishkas goes ahead and gives the flavor. So you could use the same fish kishkas 1 time, 2 times, and the flavor still comes. The third time around already, Everyone knows the third time around, right? The fish kishkas aren't the same. So we'll say, what do you do to supplement the flavor? What do you do to supplement the flavor? Wine. So that's why if you're getting first or second batch murias, you can even buy it from an uman akum. Because first or second batch, the flavor is going to still be there. You don't need to supplement it at wine. Once you get into the third batch already, grade C murias, then you have to be choshesh that the uman is mixing in wine. Mikan ve'elach raibu chamra. Boss, listen to this, Maisa. Who arva de muriasa da asi lenamela da akum. Boss, there was once a murias boat, right? A boat containing a murias delivery that came into the port of Akko. Osiv Rabbi Abba Dimin Akko Naturi Bahada. So Rabbi Abba, now again, they were going to want to sell the murias to the Jewish community. So what I will say, what happens? Rabbi Abba goes ahead and stations guards on the boat. Why does he station guards on the boat? Rabbi will say, why? He wants to make sure that what? It's hashkacha. It's not really guards, it's mashkichim. He's putting mashkichim on the boat. Rabbi will say, to make sure that what? To make sure that what? That they're not going to mix in wine to the murias. Amrali Rava, so Rava says, okay, Shkayach Rabbi Abba, Ata'idna man natra. No, who was the mashkiach on the boat right here? Very nice, you're putting mashkichim now. Who was watching the murias up until it got to port? Amrali, Ata'idna leman nechosha. So Rabbi Abba says, calm down. Right? What do you have to, let's talk this through. Right? What would we have to be choshesh for up until this point? If you want to be concerned that maybe what? The akum on the boat are going to mix in wine. Kista de murias beluma, kista de chamra bedalalumi. I was saying where this boat was coming from. So ultimately, again, the Gemara says kista de murias beluma. I will say kista is a measure, luma is a coin. So one kista of murias cost a luma. One kista of chamra cost 4 luma. I was going to say, what does that mean? The point of origin where this boat was coming from, wine was much more expensive than murias. Therefore, what? No one's mixing in wine into the murias because they both say it's not a good return, right? It's not a good return on investment here. You're not going to go and take expensive wine, mix it into the inexpensive murias. It doesn't make any sense. Zara, Dilma. So we'll say therefore again. Therefore, who was it? Rabbi Abba felt there was no concern that they would have mixed in wine any earlier because where they were coming from, wine was so expensive that they would not have mixed it in to the murias. I guess in Eretz Yisrael or in Akko, wine was a bit less expensive. There'd be a concern that maybe they'd mix in wine. So we'll say, so listen to this. Dilma aidi ditsur asu dushavu chamre. Well, maybe the boat made a stop in Sur, in Tyre, right? In Sur. Let's say, so maybe they made a stop in Sur. They made a port. What do they call it? A port call? Port of call. You just make that up. Port of call. Right? Port of call. They stopped in Sur. I'm just kidding. Excellent. They made a port of call. That's what it doesn't sound right. What? They made a port of call. They stopped the boat, right? They stopped the boat. Maybe they stopped the boat and got off in Sur. And I will say in Sur, ultimately, again, wine is cheaper. Listen to this. So apparently, again, boats would not normally stop in the port of Sur. This is amazing. Ikuli means whirlpools. Apparently, the port of Tzur was a dangerous one. There were whirlpools, and I will say pshuri means melted snow. I guess this was the time of season where the snow was melting, and therefore, essentially, the waters were very choppy and the waters were rough. In other words, no one's making just a stop in Sur. So because of that, ultimately, there was no concern that maybe there was wine mixed into the murias earlier on, and therefore, again, the only concern is now they got to Eretz Yisrael. They posted mashkichim on the boat. Said the murias would be permitted ultimately again for consumption for the Jewish populace. Good. Ugvinas beis unaiki. So we'll say next discussion in the Mishnah was cheese of beis unaiki. So we'll say this was the same machlokes in Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim. Rabbi Meir says you can't eat it and it's an Isra, you can't get benefit from it. The Chacham says it's an Isra Achila, but not an Isra Na. So what's going on with the gvinas of beis unaiki? Amr Shem and Lakish Mishum. We'll say, what was the issue? What's the problem with the cheeses of beis unaiki? So the Gemara says, Alright, we'll say, because what was the issue? The issue is, remember again, how do you make cheese? You make cheese with the rennet, with the curdled milk, found in the stomach. That's the coagulant, found in the stomach of the shechted animal. And in Beis Onaiki, the majority of the calves were slaughtered for Avoda Zara. Slaughtered for Avoda Zara. So the Gemara says, well, my area rov agalim, why need to get into the majority of the calves? Afilu miut. We'll say, even if it's just a miut, even if a minority of the calves were slaughtered for Avodah Zarah, why? Because remember again, who's the one who says that it's asur altogether? That's Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir chayish l'miuta. Rabbi Meir is of the opinion that you have to be choshish even for the miut. Rabbi Meir holds halacha l'maisa that even when there is a rov that points you in one direction, you have to be choshish for the miut. Rabbi say, where does this come up? What's Rabbi Meir? You have to be choshish for the miut. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says over here. Rashi says, Rabbi Meir chayish l'miuta, beparak beis diva, mis katan uktana, lo cholzen v'lo miyavmin. Katan shema yimatzi sris, katana shema timatzi islandus. So also remember again, Rabbi Meir l'shitase holds that under technical circumstances, if let's say again a man dies, leaves behind a wife with no children, he leaves behind one brother. The brother is a katan. On a technical level, on meaning midaraisa, a katan could do yibum. Rabbi Meir holds we don't have to katan do yibum. Why about that? Because we're concerned that maybe the katan is going to be a sris. A sris is a man who can't have children. The halacha is yibum is only permitted when the union could result in children. So Rabbi Meir says we don't let the katan do yibum because the concern that it may be a sris. The concern that it might be a sris, Rabbi say, is a miut. So under normal circumstances, we're not choshish for a miut. Rabbi Meir is choshish l'miuta. So we'll say, watch this. So even according to Rabbi Meir, why do you have to get into the fact that the rov of the agolim in Beis Onaiki are slaughtered for Avodah Zarah? Even if it's a miut that's slaughtered for Avodah Zarah, that should be enough to tell Rabbi Meir, that should make Rabbi Meir paskin, so this is aser. So we'll say, to which the Gemara says, I armit rov, ika miut. If we're talking about a real rov, then that would be true. Rabbi Meir would be choshish for the miyut. But watch this. Ela I armit miyut, kevan di ika rov agalam de inish chatel avodas chavim. But say, listen to this. The reason why this doesn't apply here is as follows. Because first of all, you have the majority of calves which are not slaughtered for avodah zarah. Furthermore, the ika nami shar behemus de inish chatel avodas chavim. We'll say, remember again, even in Beis Onaiki, we'll say, it was only what? It was only a golim which was slaughtered for avodah zarah. Other animals were not primarily slaughtered for avodah zarah. So essentially now you have two rovs. Bless you. You have the rov of agolim and the rov of other animals. And we'll say in that case over here, then what? In that case, that tells us that ultimately again, even Rabbi Meir, even in this case, there's not even a valid miut. Because Rabbi say again, remember again, you have the rov of agolim and also you have the rov of shar behemos. We'll say this is a miut of a miut. We'll say even Rabbi Meir who holds that you have to be choshesh l'miuta, ultimately that's what we will call a miut hamatzui, which I will say means a significant minority. But if it is an insignificant minority, even Rabbi Meir would agree that what? That you're not choshesh for that. Shabbos say, therefore the Gemara has to go out of his way to say, no, it is the rov of agolim in Beis Onaiki that are slaughtered for the sake of Avodah Zarah. Because if it would have just been a miut, then according to Rabbi Meir, that would have been a miut sheva miut, a minority of a minority, which means an insignificant minority, and Rabbi Meir would not be choshish for that. So let's analyze this. Even if it's true that the calves are slaughtered for Avodah Zarah, who cares? V'ha'athu deshari. You are the one who permitted this. After all, the itmar hashochet asabehima lizrok dama la'avodas kochavim lahaktir chelba la'avodas kombos. Listen to this case. Somebody shechts a behema. Now, here's the kunst in this case. In this case, we'll call him Ploni. Ploni, when he's shechting the behema, doesn't have in mind that the shechita is for avodah zarah. He has in mind that what? That the zrika, the sprinkling of the blood, or the aktaras chalba, the burning of the fats, should be for avodah zarah. So we'll say at the shechita itself, he has no kavanas for avodah zarah. His kavanas is that again for some future avodah with this behemah, the sprinkling of the blood, the burning of the fats. That'll be for avodah zarah. So we'll say, so here the shayla. So what do we do with this? What is the status of such a shechita? What is the status of such a shechita? Rabbi Yochanan Amar Asura. So Rabbi Yochanan will say the animal is still going to be asur. Why? Kasavar mechashem me'avoda la'avoda Because the say number one, mean we can have in mind from one avoda to another avoda. In other words, you can have in mind during shas shchita that the animal is going to be offered up for avodah zara through the sprinkling of the blood, or the burning of the fats, and furthermore, v'alfinon chutz mipnim. We'll say we learn out avodah zara, which means chutz, things done outside of the Beis Hamikdash, from things done inside the Beis Hamikdash. We'll say, what does that mean? What that means is as follows. There's a concept of pigul. We'll say, what does pigul mean? If a kohen, when he's shechting the animal, has in mind that he is going to do something illegal with this carbon at some future time. For example, we'll say, let's say at the shash shchita, the kohen shechting the animal, and while he's shechting it, he has in mind that what? He's going to eat the meat in 3 days from now, which is past the window for consumption. So we'll say, what's the halacha? That machshava invalidates the carbon. Even though what? Right now, he's not doing anything. Right now, he's shechting kedarko, right? He's shechting in the normal way. The machshava that he has to do something illegal in the future passes the animal. So we'll say Rabbi Yochanan holds two things. Number one, mechashron avoda. You could have kavanah during you're doing something you're doing now for something you're going to do for the future, and we learn out from the Beis Hamikdash to the laws of avodah zara. What we say, yafinon chutz lifnim, or I should say mifnim lechutz. So therefore, we'll say, just as the machshavas pigul can validate a carbon, so to have somebody shechting the avodah zara, even though at the time of the shechita, he doesn't have in mind for the avodah zara, but he has in mind that he's going to offer up the fats, or he's going to offer up, or he's going to sprinkle the blood for avodah zara. That makes this, what I will say, this makes this animal into a takruvas avodah zara, makes it into an offering for avodah zara, and therefore even at the shechita makes the animal aser ba'ano. The opposite, Rabbi Shimon Levi Omer, muteres. Rabbi will say, Shimon Levi says it's muter. Why? So the Gemara says he says it's muter. Why does he say it? So we'll say it's muter because ultimately, again, he holds en yafin and me'avod excuse me, en mechash me'avod la'avoda, and lo yafin on chutz mifnim. So Amar lei taminach shaita. So Rabbi will say literally, he said to him, taminach. If you look at Rashi, taminach shaita means Yorum mazlech. Literally, good question. Very good kasha. Your mazel should raise you up. I will say, Rabbeinu Chanana says a little bit differently. He says, Tramanach shaita, perish tisa oscha shaita chavadum. You had a good question, but be quiet. I will say, a good question, but be quiet means your question is a good question, but it's not a good question, because I'll interpret for you the case. But Omer, bigmar zvicha hava uvdei. We'll say the case that we're dealing with over here is where the person shechting the animal says that the animal should be a takroves for avodah zara at the end of the shechita, which I will say means what? That already by the time the shechita is aser, ultimately the animal is aser for avodah zara, and therefore, to use any of the curdled milk found in the stomach of the animal is going to be aser. Why? Because the animal is already aser al avodah zara. We'll say let's just do one more piece, then we'll stop for today. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Shal Rabbi Shmuel. So remember again, after this discussion, ultimately again by the Gvinos Beis Onaiki. So then the Gemara got into a whole discussion between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Yoshua. Because Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Yoshua, why is it that the cheeses of an akum are aser? We originally thought, or Rabbi Shmuel originally answered, because they curl the cheese with the rennet found in the stomach of the nevela. To which Rabbi Shmuel responds, but one second, what about the fact that you could drink the milk from the kiva of an ola? Let's remember again this incredible case where if the Kohen has a strong enough stomach and they offer him the coagulated milk found in the stomach of the ola, if he wants to gulp it down, he has the right to gulp it down. What do you see from here? Now an ola is aser ba'ana, but what do you see from here? You see from here that which is found inside the stomach of an animal that is aser ba'ana itself is not aser ba'ana. We'll say, see, hear this? The fact that a Kohen could gulp down the coagulated milk found inside the stomach of the ola. Don't ask why. It's a protein shake. It's a Talmudic protein shake. Right? They'll say, so what happens? So the fact that a Kohen is permitted to do this tells me that which is found in the stomach of the ola does not have the status of the ola. If that's the case, Rabbi say, then what? Then one should be permitted to do what, Rabbi say? To go ahead and eat the cheeses made by an akum, even if that cheese is made with the coagulated milk found inside the stomach of the animal, which was worshipped for avodah zara. Why? Because essentially anything found in the stomach of the animal does not take on the status of the animal itself. So we'll say this last second, then we'll stop. Amar Vachtaboy Amarav. Hamikadish beperashar. Beperashar niska. Both is an interesting case. Let's say a man is mekadish a woman with the excrement of a shor haniskal. Both say shor haniskal is Very romantic, beautiful. So let's say, who needs a ring? Who needs a ring? So let's say, first of all, this is much more practical. You can fertilize your field. You can do a lot with this. A ring just sits there. So let's say, Sigmar says as follows. Let's say, shar niskal. Remember again, is an ox which has killed someone else, has killed a person. Therefore, by definition, the shar is put to death. It could also be, by the way, a shar that was engaged in an act of bestiality is also killed. So the idea over here is, we'll say, let's say the shar is condemned to die, and then what happens? There's excrement from the shar. So we'll say, I can be mekadishum with that excrement. Which we'll say, for all kidding aside, what does that mean for our purposes? It means that the excrement is mutter bahana. It's mutter bahana. Okay, on the flip side, yet, we'll say, if you have the excrement of an animal used for Avoda Zara, an egel used for Avoda Zara, you can't use it to affect Kiddushin. Why not? We'll say, it seems to be why not? It's Asr Ba'ana. You can't get any benefit from it. So we'll say, so the Shaila, of course, becomes, why is the excrement of a Shah HaNiskal any different than the excrement of an egel used for Avodas Kochar? We'll say, remember, I want to be clear, we'll say, what happens if you shech the Shar Niskal? Can you eat the meat? The halacha is no. Why? Because Shar HaNiskal is Asr Ba'ana. So you're dealing with two animals that are both Asr Ba'ana, yet the excrement of the Shar Niskal is Mutter Ba'ana, and the excrement of the egel for Avodas Kochar is Asr Ba'ana. So why the distinction? We'll say, listen to this, we're almost finished. We'll say, we can explain this either with a svara, a logical argument, or the pasuk. Here's the svara. We'll say, listen to this. When it comes to the egel of an avodas kochavim, we'll say the person bringing that sacrifice wants his egel to look what? As big as possible. Obviously, while the excrement is inside the animal, it makes the animal look bigger. Therefore, again, for the person bringing the carbon to his avodas kochavim, he wants the animal to look as big as possible. Therefore, what Rabbi say, the excrement plays a role in the more zaftig appearance of the animal. Therefore, again, it becomes usher under the umbrella of avodas kochavim as well. It becomes part of the Israel. Rabbi say, if I am the owner of the shar niskal, my axe is about to be executed, the excrement plays absolutely no role for me. Therefore, it doesn't take on the status ultimately of the shar niskal. Therefore, it's mutter ba'ano. But see the pasuk is going to from a pasuk. What's the pasuk? Ksivach. It says over here, lo yitbak biyad chamu'uma. We'll say this is amazing. When it comes to Avodah Zara, what does the Torah say? Lo yitbak biyad chamu'uma. Which also means what? There should be mu'uma means what? Mu'uma means what? Anything. You should not retain anything to do with Avodah Zara. We'll say anything even includes what? Even includes the excrement. The idea is when it comes to Avodah Zara, the Jew should divest himself of anything and everything associated with Avodah Zara, even the excrement of the animal. Uksiv hasima by Shar Niskal says sakol yisakol ashar v'lo yachel es b'saro. Also, when it comes to Shar Niskal, the pasuk says the shar should be stoned. V'lo yachel es b'saro. Don't eat the meat. B'saro aser. I will say ultimately again the flesh of the shar is aser. Ha per shom muteres. Rabbi say it's only the basar, it's only the actual flesh of the shur that's usher, but ultimately again, the perish, the excrement will be mutter. Rabbi say we'll stop over here for today. I'll pick up with Amar Rava tomorrow.